Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, I would like to show you another way that you can use my falling leaves background stamp. You can actually do this with any stamps and any background stamp, but I'll be using this one to show you today. This is kind of like a 2-for-1 deal, and we're going to be doing a little bit of water stamping with this one. So I'm going to create a little background here. I have a couple of purple, Shaded Lilac, Wilted Violet, and Villainous Potion. That's mainly because these are the only 3 purples I have in the Distress Oxide range. All you need for this is going to be some water reactive inks. So that's almost pretty much most dye inks, frankly, are going to work with this. If not, give it a test. Try it out before you do it. Like the Hero Arts, Catherine Pooler, all of your Distress Oxides, Jenna K, all of those inks are water reactive, Simon Hurley's. So give them a go, see if they can, if you can do splatter and remove some of the ink like with water, then you're going to have water reactive ink. So do a wee test, put some ink down, splatter it with water. If it removes some of the ink, then you're good to go. This technique is going to work beautifully. I am doing some medium good blending, honestly. I am doing it with the Distress Oxides, which I find to be one of the easiest inks to blend with. Some of these inks are very, very juicy, the ink pads, because they have recently been re-inked, so that does help as well. But I have a little die cut piece here for my card front, and this is going to end up being one version of the water stamping. And then I want you to have another piece of plain white cardstock ready to go. So this is just regular white cardstock, at the moment cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Spritz your background stamp. I have one of those continuous sprayers, which gives a very light spritz. Now the lighter kind of the better. You don't want to go super heavy because otherwise it will pool and you'll get, not a crisp, clear pattern. But give it a second to go on there, take it off, and then we're going to transfer that ink over top to the other piece of cardstock. And then I like to blot up the ink or the water from the first one, and that way it stops the water spreading as well. So you can see we have 2 perfectly good images. Now the reason that it sort of fades down is because I went into a lighter color down the bottom, that Shaded Lilac. So if you want it to be all nice, sort of dark, crisp, clear stamping, then I would just blend even the top 2 inks and just do that for the whole page rather than using the Shaded Lilac down the bottom. But I quite like the fact that we've got a nice little bit of variation there. And then I'm going to take my little mixed scalloped rectangles, die cut out this one here. I'm going to make 2 finished cards for you today just to show you how I go about finishing these. Even though this is the fun part and this is the technique, it's always nice to see them made and completed into finished cards. So I've cut this out into a medium-ish small rectangle. It's going to be big enough to put some words across, which is my main goal, to have a nice little sentiment there. I'm going to use some of the Wilted Violet to do some framing. Now this is instead of a matting layer. I just use a little bit of low-tack tape and go over the edges. This one has like some stitching around the edges, so I'm using that as my guide to be able to give it a little matting layer, like a faux matting layer. And then for the stamp set, I feel like this one is going to be a new favorite from Whimsy Stamps. Now this is new to me. I have no idea if it's new to the market, but new to me, and it's called Fantabulous. Now I will say this stamp set was well thought out. I'm not sure who the designer is, but it is just the words, but it's the sub-sentiments. The little bits that go along with them are clever. This is what I love and appreciate, when there's a little bit of thought that's gone behind finishing off those sentences, because sometimes I find you can only make like 1 or 2 work when it has those little sub-bits as well. But for this one, really, really well thought out. So a very fun, I like kind of light-hearted stamp set to have. So this is why it joined me in my stash. I'm using the Wilted Violet to stamp out the first couple of times, and then I'm actually going to take the Villainous Potion, and you saw me wipe along the top half of the stamp and get sort of a nice little gradient there. So I just got it moved from the Wilted Violet into the Villainous potion, so the lighter purple into the darker purple for the actual main sentiment. And then of course we've got a little sub sentiments to finish it off. This one is going on some foam tape and in the middle of a card. Super simple to put together, but quite cute, I think. I like the look of this, and again, both of these cards were really quick for me to put together, mainly because for the second card here, I definitely used some bits and pieces that I had lying around, which was helpful too. So this one here, I'm going to put down flat. I've got some plain double-sided tape. This one happens to be scrapbook.com, but there are a million brands out there which are fabulous double-sided tape, and I'm going to pop the shaded lilac up the top. That's because I'm going to be using this plain white picture. Now this is that comes with the die set and the embossing folders, so this is very textured, although it's a little bit hard to see in the video, but you run it through your die cut and then you run it through the embossing folder, and of course there is like a matching stencil as well, but for this one I just want to keep it nice and stark plain white because I have got that like really dark, busy, beautiful background going on. So I'm popping this up on a little bit of foam tape, and then I do want to have some foliage or something coming out the top. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is actually some Christmas foliage that I have die cut, that I had put aside in my Christmas little bundle for when I was card making. So this is out of a Christmas pad, like a paper pad, but you can't see, you know, there's nothing on there that would indicate it was Christmas. So, you know, why not use it? It just looks like greenery. And then the other one is plain white. So I am going to cut these down a little bit so that I can make them fit in that little pitcher or vase. And just have some little bits and pieces coming out of it. By all means, you could stamp over top of this. You could also stamp and then heat emboss it in like some gold or some white as well. That would look really nice against that quite purple, bold background. But for me, I'm just going to glue in a few different layers. So that just means cutting off smaller pieces of this branch because it's fairly big. And then I can work some of the green ones into it. The purple and green are going to go together nicely. I've also got the white there, which is going to, of course, be nice and neutral. And then as for a sentiment for this one, I'm actually going to use a sentiment from my printable sentiments off my website. So you can head over to natashafootecreative.com, and I have entire sheets of printables that you can download and print out. I print them out in lots of different sizes, like 100%, 80%, 50%, so that I can get different sizes of all of the same sentiments. And they are just super, super handy. I designed them all to be really easy to fussy cut, because if you guys have watched my videos, you know that really fussy cutting is not what I love doing. So I did design these very carefully, and I go into it in other videos around the different things that you can do with the frames, cutting them off and adding to them, all the things. But nonetheless, this is the second card done and dusted that we have created with our water stamping technique. So a really fun, easy technique, another way to use my falling leaves background stamp, but of course you can use what you have in your stash. Thanks so much, and I will see you next time. Bye!